Okay. As Harry has mentioned that my section is all about development in this program. That is part B of what he was discussing. Some of the issues might be similar, but I'll try to make it different, even though they have already been written similar to his. Let me first by introducing myself. I am Zola Marcus. The full name is Zola Marcus, and I'm a teacher at Manyano High School. The topic that I will be talking about this afternoon is what are the implications of our own and your future practice. Let me start by describing our feelings when we first started with the program. We were a group of teachers from different high schools around Khayelitsha who were complete strangers to each other, even though we were in the same Department of Education, the same district. In Khayelitsha. I was a frustrated and lost educator who was thinking along the lines of resigning. Sepo, I think he has mentioned this morning that he was very angry. Alice was upset. Ngabisa was confused. Mzu was anxious. Kheri was uncertain. And somebody was fed up and bored. And we were not happy at all with what we were doing. And if you look at us today, you'll find a complete different description to what I have mentioned. Technology, something is fascinating. Okay. We are happy, we are so fulfilled, we are joyful, we are motivated, we are high, energetic, confident, excited, content, satisfied, and we want to tell the world. And you might be sitting down there and asking yourself, what influenced this dramatic change? I think mostly we have been able to develop a sense of belonging to our own work through adopting a stance of a reflective practitioner, as suggested by Donation. We have developed a positive attitude towards change. We embraced change and learned from change. Sometimes when teachers are exposed to new things, they tend to rebel. They don't want to do it. There is a reason for them to behave as such, because they don't identify themselves with that kind of change, because they never develop that change. And through the process of engaging in our action research, we have embraced change through changing our epistemologies. We have improved our relationship with our learners. We have interrogated our roles. And somebody was mentioning in the morning our values and our roles. As educators, we do have these roles kept in a file, that is from the Education Labor Relations Council. On page A47, you'll find those roles. And one of the roles, which was quite new to me, even though I had the file for so many years at my disposal, was that I was having a pastoral role. That means I need to understand my learners and be in their shoes. Where are these learners coming from? What kind of background are they exposed to, and how can I adapt or have a sense of empathy? That is one of the roles, is having empathy. That is putting yourself in the same shoes as those learners. Hence, I was talking before in terms of understanding our learners. Because if you don't understand what kind of exposure our learners are having, what kind of background are they coming from, we won't be able to prepare them so that they are ready to learn. We need to prepare. It's like a farmer who wants to plant something on the ground. You don't just plant on the ground, you have to prepare the ground so that whatever you plant there, you'll have a meaningful harvest. And then we reflected, as I've mentioned, through reflective practitioner, how our roles and values influence our practice. And I need not mention that it was for the first time that I could unpack and understand values for the first time in this course. Before, I used to talk about values, not understanding or knowing exactly what I was talking about. And for the first time, after 12 years of teaching, I was able to say what my roles were and being able to understand what do I mean by social justice, Ubuntu, a sense of belonging, togetherness, and all those things. Love, passion, caring, there are so many. And we revived the reasons as to why we chose teaching as a profession in the first place. Hence, if you still remember, I said I was frustrated and I wanted to quit because I didn't have an opportunity to ask myself, why did I choose teaching as a profession? So doing that has kept me in the teaching profession up until today, and I hope that I'll continue being a teacher for the rest of my life, even if I'm not in the classroom. We have influenced our colleagues, learners, as well as their parents. And for the first time, as I've mentioned, sometimes that we resist change because we don't feel responsible or we don't want to identify ourselves with such policies. But for the first time within the program, we were able to see ourselves as policy developers. And lastly, we were able to develop our own living educational theory. What have we learned? We have learned how best to adapt to the situation that we have found ourselves in. We have learned how to position ourselves in relation to our learners. I think at some stage we need to realize that our learners are human beings and not take them for granted and think that they are prepared to learn. And at another level, we need to have a way of positioning ourselves in relation to them. Because sometimes the way we position ourselves to our learners make our learners think that sometimes we are their enemies because of how we position ourselves in relation to them. We have learned our leadership roles to encourage, delegate, influence, coordinate, and guide learners' learning. And we have learned through the hard way that we cannot manage our learners, but our classrooms. We cannot manage things, people, we can manage things. So we cannot manage our learners, but we can manage our learners' learning in the classroom. We have created a positive atmosphere for learning in our classrooms. And then our advice to aspirant teachers, that is those who wish to continue or with the teaching profession or would love to join us, would advise them to look for teacher training programs that focus on successful leadership techniques rather than ineffective, punitive disciplinary approaches. They must not teach for the love of money, but for the love of the country, the community, the children.